Welcome to the Art Studio with your host Valerie Ashton. The Art Studio keeps you in the know about artists and art and is your source for information about shows and tours in Witcher Stouffville.
I'm talking to Mary Colagiovanni, and we're going to talk about something a little different today. Mary's not an artist, but you have something to do with art. You have a wonderful art trip happening. Tell us a little bit about it.
We do through Gallery Adonis, which is a fine art gallery. I've been working there several years, and although I don't have a background in art, I am definitely an art lover. And as I worked there, I got more and more interested, and then I thought, well, I am Italian, and I love Italy, so I thought, well, what a great link to link art and Italy together. So several years ago, my husband and I decided we would start doing some trips to Italy and focus more on the art. We put together an itinerary, and we put it out there for artists, and the response was amazing. So we've been doing this once a year, every year, and we have a lot of repeat customers come back because they love it. Let's face it, Italy's a great place for art lovers. There's something for everyone, even artists who come and bring their spouses or friends. Even if they're not art lovers, they find the culture, the food, the wine. There's something really for everyone.
Now, there are some artists on the trip, but many are not.
That's correct.
Participate.
Yeah, the majority are artists, if not actual expert artists or career artists, hobbyists. So we have all different levels, everything from artists like Valerie herself to people like me who are not actually artists but love art and love to participate in the art activities, to people who just love to look at architecture and beautiful art and like to see it from an artist's perspective.
So now during the trip, there is a bit of art instruction. What's that about?
There is. Depending on the group we have, we kind of customize it to the group as far as what kind of art classes we provide and how many. This year we're going to have 3 workshops of 2 hours each, as well as the incidental teaching that goes along. For instance, if we're in Florence and we're looking at the Duomo, for instance, our artist or our tour operator will always point out the architectural details and give us a little background on the artist. So even if you're not an artist, there's always art involved in the trip.
So now if you're not an artist, you don't have to be intimidated that you're going to be forced to do art.
Oh,
when
absolutely
you're there.
not. The workshops are always voluntary. The surprising thing is that oftentimes people who have never done art and certainly do not consider themselves artists latch onto it because they see the enthusiasm of the ones who do participate. And we've had people who have never done art before not only participate but carry on after they've gone home with their little sketch pad and become very interested in art classes because of it. We had a husband and wife team last year. The wife participates in the art classes all the time. The husband said he was the least artistic person he ever knew. His profession was as far from art related as possible. Our artist instructor last year encouraged him to come, and he surprised even himself as to what a good eye he had and how much he loved it, and actually has continued it.
That's great. Then it gives the husband and wife something in common.
Absolutely.
Now this year, where are you going on the trip?
Now this year we're concentrating on South Central Italy. So our trip begins in Rome. We travel down. We will be stopping at Monte Cassino, which is the famous Abbey of Monte Cassino that was very well known in the war. We'll travel down to Sorrento, where we'll spend a couple of days, and one of those days will be spent going to Capri. Everyone will go to Capri, but then what you do there is up to you. Some of them will visit the Blue Grotto, the famous Blue Grotto. I think it would be a shame not to go if you're there. From Sorrento also we'll be doing a boat trip. Usually we do the land and we travel by bus, but this year we've decided to try something new. So we're going to leave Sorrento. We're going to go south along the Amalfi Coast, but we're going to view it this time from the water as opposed to the land. So you get to see the actual coastline, and we'll be stopping in Amalfi and in Positano, which are two very famous jet setter type of places in Italy that we don't often get to go to. And then from there, from Sorrento again, we're going to go across to the Gargano Peninsula, which is on the other coast, the Adriatic coast. Again, we haven't done that yet. And then from there, we'll come back across to Rome and end our trip. So we begin and end our trip in Rome.
Do you go to the same places every year, or do you try to alternate?
Yeah, we try to do a different trip every year because we've had a lot of the same people for 4 trips in a row, and so every year we try to do something a little bit different. Last year we did northern Italy, so we did Venice, Florence, Verona, Padua, and Rome. Of course, we always start and end in Rome because you have to see Rome when you go to Italy. The year before, we concentrated more on the sort of northern central section where we did Assisi and Orvieto, we did Rome again, and a few other areas. We touched on Florence as well. So yes, every year the itinerary is a little bit different.
Now, one of the things that I found really interesting was, like you said, that a lot of repeat people. I have talked to people who have gone on the trip several times and said, well, I've done it, I'm not sure I'll go next year. And as soon as that brochure comes out, they're looking at it going, oh, I just have to go.
I think the biggest reason is the group. Italy is beautiful, and we try to make the itinerary as interesting as possible. We always have a group that gels well. We always have our repeats, but we always have new people, but somehow they always gel. And the comments I get is that they feel like a family, where everyone gets along so well together, everybody looks after each other. We have a lot of women, especially older women, who come on their own, and they always comment on how safe they feel and well looked after, and where they might not feel so well looked after on a larger group tour, which tend to be a little less personal. These are truly personal groups. We get to know each other really, really well. They call each other friends, and they've met on these trips. So I think that's what kind of makes our groups stand out from all the other trips and itineraries that are out there. I think there's a really personal touch.
I found that too when we went a couple of years ago. One of the things I also liked was the fact that it was not